Well, hello guys. We're back here in the kitchen. It's been a while, but still managing to put up a few things. Wanted to do a video today showing you how how we can kraut here. Uh, we did a video back last fall where I took some of my cabbage that I harvested here in my garden and we tried to make kraut with it. What happened? It it just really was never warm enough for it to actually sour and ferment like it should. If it drops, I think it's like below 70. If it never gets much above 70, it's really not, and what it'll end up doing, it'll more or less just rot on you because it's really not going to get warm enough, the way I understand it, for those enzymes to do their magic. And if it gets too hot, which is, I'm thinking, like anything above 100 degrees, like 110 maybe. I'm not, some of you may know the scientifics on that, but it's somewhere in that neighborhood. If it gets above that, it will kill the yeast and it won't do nothing. So, I ended up, it pretty much, the cabbage itself dissolved and turned to liquid is pretty much what happened. And I just had to throw it out because it wasn't really any good. So here about a month ago, I guess it was, we saw a good deal on cabbage at our local grocery store, and so we bought 4 heads, and I took it, chopped it up just like exact same way y'all saw in that video, packed it in a jar, and put it in a warmer location and let it ferment. And I think it's been probably about 4 weeks. I can't remember. I've got it written down, but I can't remember the exact date that I made it on. I could probably look it up, but I think it's been about 4 weeks. And so what I do after I do that, after it's soured and I'm pleased with it, I take the rock off, take the board and the big cabbage leaves off, and take all that out. And if you've got hogs, they'll love that. Chickens will too. And discard all of that. And then I empty my kraut out into this pot right here. And I'll set it on the stove. Now the process that I'm using is technically called a hot pack method. It depends, after I put this hot into hot jars, technically you're supposed to give it a hot water bath for like 15 or 20 minutes. I think I'd have to look at the Ball Blue Book to be sure on that. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. That just depends. My grandmother never did. She would always hot pack it into hot jars, sterilized jars too, by the way. And my jars is in the dishwasher right now. That's one thing I love about a dishwasher. And once it's done, I should be about ready to go ahead and start filling some jars. I've probably got 7, 8 quarts here. Just guessing. I'll probably save out a little bit to eat on. But once this is heated and it's ready, your fermentation's over with. It will not sour anymore because you've done killed the yeast in it, once you heat it up. And so what I'll do, I've got a neighbor that loves kraut, and I'll probably save her out a little bit. And she doesn't like the red pepper in hers, and so I'll probably do 1 jar just for her, and then the rest of it I'll go ahead and start putting some pepper in it. And guys, my house, it's smelling in here right now. So, but I'll use all the juice that is in it. I don't discard that. Maybe just a little bit that's on top that might have any mold or discoloration in it, I might discard that. But for the most part, I keep everything in here. And that's the thing, when I'm working it off, if you remember, I add plenty of water over the top of that kraut, because what that does, that prevents discoloration on your top layer of kraut. A lot of times what will happen when you do a large batch like this, the top layer, if you don't have enough water to prevent the oxygen from causing it to darken, it'll be dark. That's a lesson that I have learned myself. Just when you do that, be sure that you put a little additional salt, not a big amount, but a little layer of additional salt into that water. The salt is your friend, but you don't need too much. A little bit of that goes a long way. So right now what I'm doing, we're just trying to bring this slowly up to a boil, and I want it to come to a slow boil, and I'll hold it there for about 10 minutes, and then once this did that, we'll go ahead and start packing it in hot jars. So when I'm ready to do that, I'll bring you back and show you that process. So I'll catch you then. Alright guys, we got this stuff heated up. I've done just a little looking on my Ball Blue Book, and I'm going to show you the correct way to do this because I don't want to show anybody anything wrong. But I've got my cabbage up. It's just under boiling. The Blue Book says to take it to 180 degrees. It says do not boil. So it's going to get hot enough when it gets in here, but these jars are, well, they were sterile. They just came out of the dishwasher, and I've got 2 more in that canner right now. And my washing machine just knocked off, so got clothes to take out in a minute. But anyway, we'll go ahead and get this started, and I'll show you how I do this. I've got my little tool here to use about you know, getting your air bubbles, things like that out. Let me get set up here. I've tried to get everything together that I needed. And we're going to do 1 jar with no pepper in it. And then I'm going to add some pepper. And I've got 10 jars available if I need them. And so, but you want to try to get as much of the juice in it as you can, because that helps it, keeps it from turning dark. I'm taking this, you want to just try to pack it in, just get all your air bubbles out. Some sort of non-metallic tool. Keep a little spoon handy. That's just a little bit more than I want right there in the jar. Just right to this ring. That's about where you want to put it. Wipe the lid off, or I mean the rim off. Put a ring on, I mean, put a lid on, I meant to say. And that one will be ready to go in the canner. But I will try to put the method that I'm using, which is, this is considered a hot pack method. I will try to put your instructions, directions, what have you, in the description below. Kind of give you written, detailed instructions how I do it. But my grandmother, I mean, I saw her for years, just what I'm doing now, without a hot water bath. And if she had some for whatever reason that wouldn't can or wouldn't seal, she would take the lid off and replace the lid and put it in a hot water bath for about 15 minutes. And I have seen that happen on occasion. But y'all kind of get the gist of it here. Take a little bit out. And these are the Golden Harvest lids, so they don't have any direction on them. Alright guys, I'm going to pause this for just a moment, and once I get the canner loaded up, I'll come back and explain what we're doing now. Okay, one thing that I forgot to tell y'all, I don't know, remember I had a subscriber gave me these little jars last for Christmas, and that's exactly what I thought. Okay, well that's working pretty good. And I put my red pepper in there, and I made so I'm not just sitting here shaking. And this is to your taste. I mean, I don't want it overwhelming in it, but it needs a little bit. And I actually did 2 jars with no pepper. I meant to just do 1, so. But I just put it in and stir it up and kind of get it mixed in thoroughly. That looks about right. I don't know, I may add just a smidgen more. I'm gonna just take the top off. I think we'll stop right there. And the thing about it, I mean, even though that doesn't have it, I can always add it to it when I, cook it or whatever. So just put your little bit in, whatever your taste is, and go from there. Okay guys, we probably got another quart, 2 quarts maybe left, I'm not sure. So I'm going to go ahead and set these down in here. I need to add just a little bit of water, and so I've got some right here. It's all, well, make a mess, but it's already hot. Typically, when you're doing hot water bath, you want to cover the tops of the jars, so I'm going to put just a little more in here because I want to cover them good. We're going to crank the heat up. Put the lid on it and turn it on up. And once that comes to a boil, let me spin it around here. Once this comes to a boil, what we want to do is time it for 20 minutes for quarts, 15 minutes for pints. I'll just use quarts today. I'm not going to use any pints. But that's pretty much it. And then you'll, let them cool and take them out, and you've got it. I mean, that's pretty much all there are to it. And we've been doing this for many, many years. I mean, probably been very few summers in my lifetime that's went by without making sauerkraut. So there was a spell years ago we had a stomach bug that kind of went through the house during about the same time that we were canning kraut, and I kind of had a little issue with that, but I got over it. Didn't take too long, but that was years ago, and I got sick after eating sauerkraut, and it wasn't the kraut that made me sick, it was just the stomach bug that was going through our house at that time, and it took me a little while before I wanted it again, but thankfully that was just a short-term thing there. So guys, I hope this helped anybody that's got questions about canning sauerkraut. It's not really hard. This is the hot pack method that I use. Now, we have did this in years past. Take it just straight from the crock or barrel or whatever you soured it in. Take it straight from that, pack it in jars, and then give it a hot water bath. I would give it a little bit longer. I would give it about 30 minutes. We did that. The only problem that I have run into with that, as it heats up and shrinks, you'll have a little bit of settling or just pure water at the bottom, and your kraut will kind of float to the top. Doing it this way, you don't have that issue, and that's why I like this, because I like my stuff to look good. When it's sitting on the shelf in a jar, I want it to look good. And so, this is the recommended method from Ball, so that's what I'm showing you. So guys, if you got any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, and I appreciate your watching and appreciate your patience, because I know I've not been putting much out, but hopefully, Lord willing, we'll do a few things this summer and have some things to show you, and we'll try to get her something different, talk time going again. And I've got one that I've made, let's see, it'll probably come out, this video you're watching now will probably come out first, and we'll get to something different time, go back on our routine of Wednesday morning and having it to come out then. So anyway, guys, y'all have a great day. Thank you for watching, and I appreciate your prayers. And one more thing, couldn't resist, we had a dear friend, subscriber, that sent us this big tin of cookies, and there's only one layer. It has 3 layers of them in there. That we're down to 1 layer left now, so we have enjoyed those. My grandmother's enjoyed them, and so we want to say thank you to, I believe it's Miss Linda, I think I'm telling it right, from Hot Springs, Arkansas. So we want to thank you for those cookies, and appreciate that. Appreciate all my subscribers and all your kind comments and your prayers. So guys, y'all have a great day, and thank you from Little NC Farmer.